anyway, oh, I don't remember a lot of things right now.
Well, let's grow.
I remember where we got, you know where we got our fuel, because we had no wood.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, the way you got the fuel was in the summertime, you took your team and wagon and some lunch, you know, kind of a banquet, you know, a picnic sort of deal, and you went over in that ranch, pulled up those cow chips. They were dry, see, they're just like dead wood. So you picked up a whole wagon load of them and brought them home and piled them up in a big long pile this way and covered them with oh, what is it you cover things with?
Canvas, tarp.
Yeah, a tarp they call it.
Yeah.
Huh?
Burlap bags.
No, it's
No,
tarp.
no, tarp.
Tarp.
Just a big kind of sheet of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, big.
Canvas tarp.
Yeah, just big sheets of it. That's what covered the wagon. See, the covered wagon, it had those bows up over from one side to the other, and then they had this canvas stuff stretched over it, you know, fastened to those, and then fastened down along the side. And you got in from the back, or you could pull the curtains over and see in from the front. But you were pretty well shut in there. And whatever you could get in there is what you took with you when you moved. But that was still when I was coming up from out of that woods I was talking about. You know, we didn't have to move that way by the time we got to Kansas. Didn't have covered wagons anymore. That's when we'd gotten the first one in the neighborhood to have a Ford. The first one he made. No, the first
Model T.
Model T Ford. Yeah. And it had the curtains on it. You know, there wasn't no glass windows and there's nothing like that on it. If it started to rain, you had to get out and put your curtains up and turn the little, you know, button things to fasten it so it wouldn't blow off. And yeah, when I was riding, that's happened back when I was about 5 years old. And that's first car, first automobile in the whole area around there. And this old man had it. And so he came by and took me for a ride. And I sat there and amazed at how fast those telephone poles went by. They would just zip, 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 you know, and I wasn't used to traveling that fast. But it was fun. I thought it was fun. Yeah. So he took me for quite a little ride up past his neighbor's house and then back home. And then he went up there and he got those kids, you know, some of them. I don't know if he took the biggest ones anyway for a ride on up farther. And then there was another neighbor on up. And he just took kids all around, you know, maybe not all the same day, of course, but all the kids around the neighborhood got to ride in his brand new Model T Ford.
How old do you figure you were about this point?
Well, that was early. That was before we went to Nebraska.
So you about 11 years old or so?
Oh, no, I couldn't do it. I just started to school in Nebraska.
Oh.
First grade.
Oh, okay, so you were 5 or 6.
Yeah. So I was either 5, but I was 6 by the time I got into 6, 7, and 8 is the years I lived in Nebraska. So I guess I started school in Nebraska because you didn't start, you know, till you're 6. And but anyway, that was a great thrill to ride in that automobile. And then, of course, later on, the whole country had a Model T. And our schoolhouse, there was a lot of woods back there, you know, there in Kansas. There's a lot of woods back there. And lots of times at noon hour, we'd just spend the noon hour running around through that woods. And there's a place back there that they called Dead Man's Leap. And it'd been, of course, when it rained a lot, there'd be quite a stream of water go through there, and quite a lot of water in that hole there. there was a curve in the hill there, and then there was a cave back in that. And so the story was that years ago that the Indians was chasing a man on his horse, and he didn't know the country. He was just trying to get away from those Indians, and he just went straight at that thing. And of course, when he got there, he couldn't turn or nothing, and he just went over the leap and down into the bottom there. And so it killed him, of course. And so it was always called Dead Man's Leap. And so we'd go over there, and they'd climb all around over it and everything, run around the rim of the, around, you know, the bottom, you know. It'd be up, oh, so high, and up a good bit. And then the cave was there, but nobody ever went back in the cave. I don't know why, but they never did. Never did see any of them go in. And I guess they were scared of what might be in there yet.
That's where the dead man.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and we picked lots of flowers in there too, in the woods. And they kids, the boys there, they killed just a plain snake, you know, not a copperhead or a rattlesnake or anything, just a
Chicken
black
snake.
snake. That's
Chicken
what it's called.
snake.
Black snake, and they got one of those, and he had an egg in him, a chicken egg.
Oh my.
You know, there's a big knot in him, and I don't know, I guess that's what killed him, I don't know, but anyway, they had him, and they squeezed that egg back out of his mouth, and then they filled him full of water. They was fooling around there. I don't know what all they did with it, but I remember them pumping him full of water.
Oh
But I don't know what else they did.
Sounds like boys, doesn't it?
I tell you, that's boys, yeah. And but anyway, I can remember that. But Dead Man's Leap was right back of this old man's. You know, it was across the road from him. It was straight across from him, so that made it. It made it just from Myrtle's. See, her land was over there, and his was this way, and so it was right behind him. But of course, their land went back quite a little ways too, and they had stuff planted on the hill over there. I think they had corn and strawberries, and no, they had strawberries in the garden. They had a big garden out beside the house this way, and the schoolhouse was on the other side. And it was quite a nice little farm, and wasn't too many acres. I don't remember how many. I didn't care about acres in those days, didn't know what they were. And so, anyway, let's see, we had moved, Lilburn they bought a house, a rock house, and it was, 2.5 miles from the school. And it was closer to another school, but that's where the line went. You was in this district, or you was in this district. Well, we was here in this rock house, and right up on the hill went the line there, and the neighbor's name was Green up there, and they had 4 kids. They went to this other school. Well, it's Mabel and Lilburn that got married. Mabel and my nephew. And they're still married, but they're getting pretty old. And but anyway, and when the bobbed hair all came out, you know. Oh, that's right. I'd had what was it? I had something, but my hair, I was sick in bed. No, none of those things. But
Smallpox?
No, I'm trying to tell you. But anyway, by the time I had like appendicitis. That's what it was. It was all in my side, on this same, well, see, appendicitis is on this side, the left side, ain't it? Your appendix are.
Yes.
Well, this side was the one that got sore. It got so sore. But anyway, the doctor was coming out every day for I don't know how long. And Dad, by that time, had made one of his trips up to back up to Nebraska to my sister Millie's, and of course he was up there and was helping him with getting in their corn and stuff like that. And so they wrote and told him, you know, that the doctor wanted to operate on me. And he wrote back and said, no operation. Because he had it all in his mind, you know, if you went to the hospital, you didn't come back alive for very long. So he didn't want any operation on her, no operation. Well, the doctor said, well, he says, if she don't get better in a day or two, he said, we'll operate anyhow. Because Myrtle was taking care of me, see, so she'd be responsible. And so the doctor came, and then he said, well, she's better today. He says, we'll see how she is tomorrow. And I kept getting better, you know, every day. And oh boy, they had peach trees out there. Oh, they were just loaded, and I could smell those peaches. But you know, she'd bring it in, and she'd squeeze those peaches down, you know, and strain the juice. Oh, it just killed me every time I tried to drink it. So I couldn't have any peaches in there. I'd lay there and smell them all day and night and everything. And I went through that, and that's when Myrtle was really scared that had hurt my side, and I probably could never have any children. And but anyway, I got well over that. But my, what was it? I had the flu real bad one time, and while I was living, and I had the flu real bad, and my hair, when I was getting better and everything, my hair was all coming out. And that was just at the time that bobbed hair was coming in style, great. And so they cut my hair short, you know, you know, so there wasn't a few long ones and the rest all short or something. And it kept coming out, but of course, you could no more curl that hair for anything. They'd stick their curling iron down in the lamp, you know, to get it hot. And they could curl mine, maybe last for a few hours, but that's all. It wouldn't stay curled. Well, after I'd had this flu and the hair came out, it all grew in just as curly as it could be. Just hung in ringlets. And I remember getting a hold of a ringlet here, pulling it out straight, letting loose of it, and it just went back into a curl. You know, I could comb it and everything, and it just went. No, you better get away from there, honey. House. And he was standing there grinning, you know, he was kind of a bashful type guy. You gonna butt that over there? Did he get it off of Kelder?
Did he?
It's winking different.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think it's.
That's where.
You're gonna knock the flower pot over there behind you.
Nicholas?
Yeah. Better look out.
We already turned it on. See the little red dot?
Yeah, it's blinking.
See? It's on. Now listen to Grandma.
Yeah. And so he went up to his girlfriend's house, and he's standing there grinning, you know, and said, "Oh, what are you grinning at?" And he says, "My aunt had her hair bobbed today." "Oh, she did? Who is she? Do we know her?" "No, they just rushed up to it, and there's 3 girls in that family." And they all rushed up to him, you know, and it was just all around him. So he after a little bit, he told me, he said it was well, but I'm disappointed because they wanted to get their hair cut, you know, and their folks wouldn't let them. And
He's real happy. Things are going smooth. He was working around that. How it went.
no telling, I don't
I
remember.
can always remember saying, "Get away, old man, get away."
Some of you kids can tell me
Young
things
man's-
that I don't remember.
It's a heart or something. And I
Yeah.
don't remember the word. But
No. I don't even.
we only had
You
about
think that's working?
five
I hate
verses.
to do all this talking and then not working.
You want some more?
No, I don't need one.
I'll tell you what, let's grow you up a bit,
Yeah.
and let's have you tell us about your first date. About how old were you?
Well, that's skipping quite a bit.
About 10 years or so.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it a date, I don't think. I didn't have a date. in high school. You know, I didn't go on any dates. Some lived out in the country and they all lived there close to high school. But, well, really, tell you the truth, I had a date, but I'm not gonna tell you what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, but then, Dad had told me, but he died in the meantime too. But Grandpa Witham died when we was in the Rock House, and his daughter, that was an old maid, she came to Myrtle's and took care of him for a long time. He had been living up in the soldiers' home, and but when he got too bad off, well, they brought him home there, and then Belle came from wherever she had been, and was taking care of him. And he died, and then he told me though, before he went to Nebraska, the reason he went to Nebraska that time was because he sent with Lilburn. Lilburn was going to down to way into town, you know, to get some groceries and things, you know, supplies. And Dad gave him some money and asked him to get him some tobacco for his pipe. And so, of course, Lilburn did it. But when Al was looking at the list, he had to check everything, of course. So while he was looking at that list, he seen tobacco on there. And he knew that Lilburn didn't use it. He knew it was Dad's, had to be. And so he got all mad, you know, when went to fussing about Dad charging his money on his bill, you know. Oh boy, he threw a fit. Well, of course, that made Dad mad. And Lilburn told his dad, he said, he paid me the money and asked me would I get him the tobacco. But the damage had already been done. And so Dad picked up and went to Nebraska again. But he told me before I went, he said, you stay here with Myrtle as long as you can stand it. And he says, when you can't stand it anymore, he said, leave. And so, a few years later, which wasn't too many, but not too long, well, Dad didn't die till after I had the twins. Yeah, I missed that, got that kind of misplaced. But so anyway, I had quit school and I had the Kansas City Star newspaper there to read, and I found where some woman that just had a new baby was wanting somebody to come and do some housework and dishes and wash the baby's clothes and stuff like that, you know, just little housework like that, and in Kansas City, Kansas. And so I phoned her and talked to her on the phone, you know. And yes, she wanted me to come. She wanted me to come, you know, and she didn't see me or nothing, but she wanted me to come at least. So I had to tell them, you know, that I was leaving. And so they didn't seem to care. Oliver was his name, but they called him Al, but that was my sister's husband. So he had to drive to Kansas City all the time. If it wasn't bad weather, he drove every day. But if it was bad weather, he'd have to stay till the weekend or something. And couldn't make the trip one day. But anyway, this was in good weather, and he took me in and let me off. Well, of course, they knew where I got off at, you know. And that didn't bother me any then. I didn't even think about it. And anyway, he left me there, and I got the job okay with the lady. And what I didn't know, that my brother's wife, Dorothy, Aunt Dorothy, only lived about 2 blocks from the stores. And these were Jewish people, young couple. They lived upstairs and their store was downstairs. But I didn't know that Aunt Dorothy lived just across the street and down a little ways. And so of course she knew where I was until she came over once to visit me. And then I found out where she was. And that she knew I was there, but I still didn't know whether she'd told Myrtle or not. All they'd know was that I was let off at that store, and never had phoned and said, "May I come home?" or anything. You know, I hadn't done that, so they thought I was doing all right, which I was. I was doing fine until the baby was born. Or let's see, how old are they when? 8 days, I think. Of course, it had to be right close to when the baby was born. And they had that circumcision deal on the 8th day. And of course they had a whole crowd there. And her mother was down from some way where off. She was down there from way back east somewhere. She had to be there for all that. But his mother and dad lived right there just a few blocks from us. And they had 2 teenage girls. And so
I'm serving dinner.
yeah, but anyway, I forget where it was. I liked that Jewish lady and the 2 girls. We got along fine. They tried teaching me to swim, but I never had time to really do enough of it to learn. And but anyway, of course they like their wine. They make their own wine, yet, and they don't make it. They don't ferment it and make it like people here make wine. And so they thought they was going to get a big kick out of me, so they thought I'd get drunk on it. So they gave me a nice glass of that wine, and I stood there and drank it, sip at a time more or less, but sometimes I'd take a good swig of it. And I knew they kept eyeing each other, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. I knew they was, something was tickling them. Oh, thank you. Yeah. And so they kept waiting for me to get drunk. I drank the whole glass full, didn't bother me at all. And they were surprised. They thought they was going to have some fun out of it. And, of course, I had to learn now that you don't mix the milk dishes and the meat dishes, if you know about how Jews do. They don't like to cook out of the dishes that has used milk, that they have separate dishes from certain foods. So one's the milk dishes and one's the meat dishes. And whatever goes with it, I don't know just how. But when I did the dishes, I had to be sure that I had the dishes separated right. So I usually made it a point to wash the milk dishes first, but then try to put away. Then I'd wash the meat dishes and put them away, and I didn't get them mixed up. And but anyway, that was quite interesting, and they were real nice couples to work for, and I was there for quite a while. But my sister Mabel, Orville's mother, came from that was the right direction from where I was. They came from Idaho, the three youngest ones. And Lilburn was gonna take them up to where Zena's folks lived. Zena and Myrtle and Egbert and all, and they lived up there. And those kids had always been crazy over each other. Those 2 pairs of cousins. There's both you see, the 2 Haynes boys married the 2 Reese girls. So they were double first cousins, they called themselves, was from both sides. And but anyway, they really loved to get together. Had big times when they ever did get together. And there wasn't enough room in the car for me.
Nicholas?
And I didn't get to go. I was still at Myrtle's then.
Hey, you gonna get busted, boy.
No, I quit the lady after a while. I had quit her because Mabel was coming, out there. And so Aunt Belle was still there. And that's All's sister. and, that took care of the grandfather with them. And, but anyway, she was there yet with them, and, I,
I think Nathan is ready to go, so I think we're
oh,
gonna
you're
have
gonna
to wrap it
have to go?
up. Yeah.
Well, you're not gonna get the rest of it
You
then.
know what we can do though?
What?
We can leave this here. We're to the end of our tape and we need to finish up the interview. So, tell us just some of the basic highlights. You were married, and how
Yeah.
old were you about then?
18,
About 18 years old, and you had how many children?
7.
7, and what were their names?
Wayne was the oldest. The twins then was Ronald and Don. Then Dorothy. Then Ed. Then David. And about 7 years after him, there was John. You know, so, but it was even funnier than that because back when I went back after my sister Mabel came down and went out there, well, Belle asked me if I wanted to go with her to go back to Kansas City because she wasn't going to stay there. Her whole job was working in other people's homes, so she wanted to know if I wanted to go back with her, you know. So I did. I went back with her. And here's another thing I didn't know at all, is that Myrtle and all knew exactly where I was at